successful feeding program which feeds the high school, basically. In order to get to the state tournament, you have to have 3 lines, 4 defensemen, and a good goaltender, and a decent backup for that matter. Understanding this, the progressions are designed with some flexibility. I try to write them so that based on our experience of the last 25 to 27 years of skating and the successful feeding program, where we've had success with coaching aspects, the one being the skating skills, skating being the single most important aspect of hockey, but it's the least understood, and often, most times, the least taught, if you will, because it's just skate, just move your feet quick. A good example is at the forward circle crossover. See people crossing over and they're hopping and running on their skates, and the coaches that think they're doing the right thing by telling them to run on their feet because they're going fast. Well, they're out of control through no stability, there's no power, and they just expend themselves in a relatively short time. So we're after efficiency in everything we do within skating, and trying to give you that experience from what we've done in the past to now, so that you as coaches, you don't have to labor through and try to look at a drill booklet and just pull stuff out and say, okay, let's try this drill today. And then that's because it's a skating drill. Well, again, we go back to the simplicity of what we always said in analogies, is that if you can't play a musical note or can't read it, can't hold it, can't play it, execute it, and you can't read music, you can't just put a sheet of music in and expect the player to play, or it's not going to, just going to be noise. The same analogy holds true in hockey. So what we've done is over the years, we've pushed to establish a very simplistic format that has all the specifics of the skill sets designed in it, but at the same time, the integrating the on ice with the off ice. That's an important part that you're able to offer, but also what's more important is that the skill sets integrate from each other. We start off with a progression, building blocks, if you will, at the mite level. The mite level is only going to do certain things because there's not enough time to do everything, and they're not going to develop everything. You want to close those skills gaps and get as many kids skating well, handling a puck, passing, and basically receiving the pass. The shooting, it's not going to happen. You can show them, but it's a long way off because the forearm stability is not there. And again, it's not to exclude it, but just we don't put a lot of emphasis on it at this level. So we go with the experience that we've had in the past, we apply that to the mite level, what works well, some basic fundamentals of how the body learns, how the mind works, and what these kids are going through at that age. And keeping it simple, yes, there's repetition of form and technique by design. They have to have about 30 minutes of what I don't want to call it structured, but the progressional aspect of the neuromuscular muscle memory and the firing skill at a young age. Trying to develop all this, the balance, agility, the quickness, the speed, the power, acceleration, the edge control, the body control, the stick control. Those are fundamentals that are integrated into every progression that we put out at that level. This puck control is an important part. They're teaching them the top hand pressure. You can't put a puck on the stick and tell them to work on top hand pressure because, again, the body control is out of whack and they can't control their stick. So whatever they try to do with the puck is they're stop skating. So there's a natural progression within this at the mite level. Mites understanding that they are going to be working on basic skill sets, the fundamentals. Fundamentals is spelled F-U-N, and we realize that, and we want to try to keep this thing moving. As coaches, you don't have to get on the ice and start coaching. You want the kids moving. And like I said, in 30 minutes, back off, you let them have fun. There's flexibility. We've recommended some different drills and different things you can do to try to have that fun come out. But again, it's not a situation where you transition over. We're really going to start working on some stuff. That age, that brain isn't capable enough. Some may, but for the most part, 99% of them are not going to be able to, look forward to continuing to do more. Now, understand that the progressions we're at the level where we can start to expand some of the stuff, but I go back to it is that you're going to be fundamentally so solid at the mite level because you're feeding the squirt level with those 3 lines, if not 4, and quality defensemen that are starting to understand, and not say position, but just understanding the simplicity of the game. Kids are starting to play together. They get the squirts, now things are starting to happen, because I always said it, when we get the measuring stick, if you will, is when your squirts are doing what your peewees did last year in January, they are doing that into December, into January. They are catching what were the skill set that the peewees are doing, they're catching because of what the mite coaches have done and how they've layered that group, if you will, those skaters at that level, so they can accomplish things a lot faster. When the peewees, they are doing stuff that the bantams that were doing, again, like in January the year before, they're doing it in November. And the bantams, you're starting now with the progressions. They'll see, we're into, like we talked about in the coaching meeting, we're into the thick of it. We're into what we call execution. The peewee and bantam are starting to execute all the fundamentals of the aspects of the program. And I can tell you, it's not about trying to teach a, F1 to F2, F3, the Russian 5 rinse cycle breakout, and the trap, and all the face off. We're going to do this particular attempt to drill or play. That's fine, but they don't want to be trying to focus on that. You let the kids play, they'll figure this out relatively quickly. And you can start to put a little bit of twist in it here and there, but for the most part, you don't have to. The understanding that the flow and the concept, we're into that. What the flow does is it teaches them creativity. Creativity has been erased from the game. Especially if you're a good skating team, creativity rules along with the skating, because if you have good skating, you can do what you want. There's one puck, and you can do what you want. And I go back to is teaching the kids, understanding that 1 + 1 is 2, 2 - 1 is 1. That's as complicated as this game gets. There's one puck, we're on it, we're on offense. When we got it, we lose it, we're on defense, we got to come back. Now, the concept is initially understanding a basic, and I say concept, well, I don't say a cure-all, but it's one templated drill that a squirt coach can work with, a peewee coach can work with, and a bantam coach can work with, even the high school. And it's one drill, and it covers forechecking, back-checking, transitioning, pinching, whatever you want to do as a coach, whatever aspect of the game you want to see, you can run that. You can control it. You want to control a forecheck? You can just tell the forwards what you want them to do, because your defensemen are having trouble handling a puck in our zone, as an example. You can control that. You can move the drill back in your zone. And face-offs. We can talk about face-off coverages coming off of concept. Very simple. But there's other aspects of the drill sets that we have that lead to this. And that's what we've done here in the last 2 years. We've been able to put some of that stuff in and start to expand it. The flow, if pre-can, bing, 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 is the skating and passing. They're learning to skate, handle the puck, and pass. Not take 6 strides and then try pass it, or try skate, bounce it off the blade, and then skate to it. They got to learn to do all the basic fundamentals. But when it starts to come, the creativity comes, they want to do it. It's fun. It's a fun challenge. And when you get a game, you start to learn to read and react to each other naturally, and your feet are moving. So it's a lot of stuff. But understanding where we're at right now is very important to coaches. Each coach understand, when you drive by and you look at a guy digging a house, he's got his template out in front. He says, well, I got to make this such and such and such and such, so high, so deep, whatever, but I got to lay a solid foundation. If this guy, excavation guy, doesn't dig the proper depth, and then the footing guy comes along and he doesn't get the right footing in, and we try to build on that, and then we're looking at the template and go to the house, it's like, well, this isn't going to work. And I said, you can bring a whole bunch of contractors together and put them in a room and say, okay, let's build a house. But nobody looks at a template. Everybody's got their own idea. Yeah, they can swing a hammer, they can cut it straight, a 2x4 perfect, make this thing fit. They got all the tricks of the trade. That is true. But there's no template, there's no blueprint, there's nothing to follow. So what you get is like an old hodgepodge tree fort, what the kids used to make when, it's slap some sticks up there and hope it don't fall out of the tree. Well, we provide a standardized approach, one language, and it all integrates throughout the whole program. I challenge it to look at that and to understand it. If you haven't, as a mite coach, if you haven't looked at the peewee and bantam progressions, I'd encourage you to do it. If you're a mite coach, look at the squirts, because you're feeding that. When you see that foundation laid and then come back the next time you drive through, and they're building the framing, and you can see the windows, you see the thing starting to take shape. That's what this process is. It's not a grouping of drills and specific area. Let's work on a passing shooting drill. It's a new drill to the kids. Yeah, it's nice to break it up a little bit, but it's nice to have the fundamentals down and to be able, it's like any other sport. It's like music. It's like, you can't just start playing concerts. In football, you can't just start running plays. You got to practice them. You got to build to it. If your quarterback can't throw, I guess you're going to run all the time. So understand that the successful feeding program is born of years of working with different coaches, coaching ourselves, and then as a player and applying this stuff and then saying, okay, apply the science behind this, the neuromuscular, the brain function, all that stuff. So you as a coach don't have to labor, go to guess and look at a book. Let's try to bring a drill out. Let's come on and make this one, try this one, and now I'm going to have to go teach the kids how to do it. When Squirt does the concept and builds on it to the Pee Wee coach has them, it's the progression is accelerated. It's like a super catalyst. And now the kids are starting to read and react. And when you get into game situations and you're having trouble, you look at the concept and say, okay, how can I use this drill? How can I use it to put pressure on my defenseman so that we're learning the breakout? And the breakout there's no special quote, pre-canned pass you make all the time. You look, you read, and react. And we've talked about that. So young coaches coming in, these coaches have worked hard. We've got a standardized approach going. Look at the drill sets. If you look at the coach, talk to the Pee Wee coach, talk to the Bantam coach, and say, what are you guys doing for passing, as an example? You'll see they're doing very similar, but they're into the next levels of progressions. And those passing drills go, everybody starts off standing still passing. It's boring. But you know what? You got to do it because of it's not so much what the passing is, but it's the body position and training the stabilization muscles to balance the body. Okay? And there's not always, fundamentals is FUN. Yes, it starts that way, but you still have to do the mentals. Otherwise, the fun, nothing else happens on the end of this. You balance it. There is flexibility. Look at the progressions. Talk to the other coaches. If you have questions, by all means, call, email, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. We're going to have the new progressions coming out for the end of October, November. We're transitioning. We said we had 5 sessions of good skating, basic, squirts. Pee Wees, Bantams starting to handle the puck a lot, and Pee Wees and Bantams handling it all the time. But the mites working on layering that foundation, getting the language back, so we start putting the progression together, they can do it. I encourage you to look at the progressions, you mite coaches, squirt coaches, look a little deeper because they're there and they will cover all the skill sets and they're all standardized within the program so that you're understanding it's block by block, that's what you're layering, that's what you're building upon. So when a mite goes to squirt, goes to Pee Wee, goes to Bantams, they've got solid foundations and the degree of difficulty in the progression is all high tempo, fast. It's Pee Wees and Bantams doing all the full-blown stuff that we like to offer to a college and pro program. Thank you. If you have any questions, please feel free to call me.